Salli ala imamana Salli ala Muhammadin Salli ala imamana Salli ala
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sa sainteté, le calife est en train de se diriger vers son siège où il va donc lancer le programme de la Bay'a internationale, c'est-à-dire le serment d'allégeance à la communauté islamique Ahmadiyya. Par la grâce d'Allah, dit Hazrat, comme je l'avais dit, il y a 555 235 personnes, donc 35 personnes nous ont rejoints cette année en tant que nouveaux musulmans Ahmadis. C'est-à-dire, cela représente une augmentation par rapport à l'année dernière à 14 500 et plus. Je voudrais dire aussi que la plupart la plupart des gens sont des personnes qui comprennent le lourdeau. La bay'a est en anglais, donc après cette bay'a, je vais réciter les paroles en anglais et vous allez réciter après moi. Mais par la suite, je vais aussi faire la même chose en ourdou. Et puis les autres langues vont... vous aurez les traductions dans les autres langues par la suite, Inch'Allah. Donc sa sainteté met sa main par-dessus toutes les autres mains. Allah ilaha illallahu wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu rasuluhu ashhadu Allah ilaha illallahu wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. I bear witness that there is Je témoigne qu'il n'y a personne digne d'adoration excepté Allah. Je témoigne qu'il n'y a personne digne d'adoration excepté Allah.
He is one and has no partner.
Il est unique et n'a pas de partenaire.
And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his servant and messenger.
Et je témoigne aussi que Muhammad est son serviteur et messager.
I entered this day the Ahmadiyya Jamaat in Islam at the hand of Masroor.
J'entre ce jour dans la Jamaat islamique Ahmadiyya à la main de Masroor.
I have firm faith that Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam
that Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam
is Khatamun Nabiyyin,
is Khatamun Nabiyyin.
Je crois fermement que Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam est le Khatam al-Nabiyyin, le sceau de tous les prophètes.
I also believe that Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad alayhi salam
that Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad alayhi salatu
was the same Imam Mahdi
was the same Imam Mahdi
and promised Messiah,
the promised Messiah,
whose advent was prophesied
the advent prophesied
by Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam.
by Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Je crois aussi que Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, que la paix soit avec lui, était le même Imam al-Mahdi, Messie promis, dont l'avènement avait été prophétisé par Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
I promise that I will always try my best
I always try my best
to abide by
to abide by
the 10 conditions of Bai'at
the 10 conditions of Bayat
as prescribed by
as prescribed by
the promised Messiah alayhi salam.
and promised Messiah alayhi salam.
Je promets que je ferai toujours de mon mieux de respecter les 10 conditions de la Bay'a, serment d'allégeance, telles qu'elles furent prescrites par le Messie promis, que la paix soit avec lui.
Que la paix soit sur lui.
Telah ditetapkan oleh Hazrat Masih alaihissalam.
I will give precedence
I give precedence
to my faith
to my faith
over all worldly objects.
all only of objects.
Je donnerai préséance à ma foi sur toute chose mondaine.
I will always remain loyal to the institution of Khilafat in Ahmadiyya
Je
Resterai toujours fidèle.
as Khalifathul Masih in everything good
Everything good,
that you may require of me. Inshallah.
Je resterai toujours fidèle à l'institution du Khalifa dans l'Ahmadiyya. Je vous obéirai en votre capacité de Khalifathul Masih en toute bonne chose que vous me demanderez, Inch'Allah.
Dalam segala hal yang baik yang huzur perlukan dari diri saya, insyaallah.
Astaghfirullah Rabbi
Astaghfirullah Rabbi
min kulli dhanbin
min kulli dhanbin
wa atubu ilayh.
wa atubu ilaih.
Astaghfirullah Rabbi
Astaghfirullah Rabbi
min kulli dhanbin
min kulli dhanbin
wa atubu ilayh.
wa atubu ilaih.
Astaghfirullah Rabbi
Astaghfirullah Rabbi
min kulli dhanbin
min kulli dhanbin
wa atubu ilayh.
wa atubu ilaih.
I beg pardon from Allah,
I beg pardon from Allah,
my Lord,
my Lord,
for all my sins
for all my sins
and return to Him.
and return to Him.
Je demande pardon à Allah, mon Seigneur, pour tous mes péchés et je me tourne vers lui.
Dan aku bertobat kepadanya.
Rabbi inni zalamtu nafsi
Rabbi inni zalamtu nafsi
wa taraftu bi dhanbi
wa taraftu dhanbi
faghfir li dhunubi
faghfir li dhunubi
fa innahu la yaghfiru dhunuba
la yaghfiru dhunuba
illa anta.
illa anta.
O my Lord,
Oh my Lord,
my Allah,
My Allah,
I wronged my soul
I wrong my soul
and confess all my sins.
all my sins.
Please forgive me
please forgive me
my sins,
my sins.
for there is none else
There is none else
except Thee
except Thee
to forgive.
to forgive.
Amen.
Amen.
Oh mon Seigneur, j'ai nui à mon âme et je confesse tous mes péchés. Je te prie de me pardonner mes péchés, car nul autre que toi ne peut pardonner. Amin.
Sebab sesungguhnya tidak ada yang dapat mengampuni dosa selain Engkau. Amin.
Ashhadu
Asyhadu
an la ilaha
an la ilaha
illallah
illallah
wahdahu
wahdahu
la sharika lahu
la syarika lahu
wa ashhadu
wa asyhadu
anna Muhammadan
anna Muhammadan
abduhu wa rasuluhu.
wa rasuluh.
Ashhadu
Asyhadu
an la ilaha
La ilaha
illallah
illallah
wahdahu
wahdahu
la sharika lahu
la syarika lahu
wa ashhadu
wa ashhadu
अन्ना मुहम्मदन अब्दुहु व रसूलुहु। आज मैं मसरूर के हाथ पर बैत करके जमात अहमदिया मुस्लिमा में दाखिल होता हूँ। मेरा पुख्ता और कामिल ईमान है कि हज़रत मोहम्मद रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ख़ातमुन नबीयीन हैं। मैं हज़रत मिर्ज़ा ग़ुलाम अहमद कादियानी अलैहिस्सलातु वस्सलाम को वही इमाम महदी और मसीह माऊद तस्लीम करता हूँ जिसकी खुशखबरी हज़रत मोहम्मद रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने अता फरमाई थी। मैं वादा करता हूँ कि मसीह माऊद अलैहिस्सलातु वस्सलाम की मुकर्रर फरमूदा 10 शराइत बैत का पाबंद रहने की कोशिश करूँगा। दीन को दुनिया पर मुकद्दम रखूँगा। खिलाफत अहमदिया के साथ हमेशा वफा का ताल्लुक़ रखूँगा और बहैसियत खलीफतुल मसीह आपकी तमाम मारूफ हदायत पर अमल करने की कोशिश करूँगा। अस्तग़फिरुल्लाह रब्बी मिन कुल्लि ज़ंबिन व अतूबु इलैह। अस्तग़फिरुल्लाह रब्बी मिन कुल्लि ज़ंबिन व अतूबु इलैह। अस्तग़फिरुल्लाह रब्बी मिन कुल्लि ज़ंबिन व अतूबु इलैह। रब्बी इन्नी ज़लमतु नफ़्सी व अतरफ़्तु बिज़ंबी फ़ग़फ़िर ली ज़ुनूबी व इन्नहु ला यग़फ़िरु ज़ुनूबा इल्ला अंता। ऐ मेरे रब, मैंने अपनी जान पर जुल्म किया और मैं अपने गुनाहों का इकरार करता हूँ। तू मेरे गुनाह बख्श, तेरे सिवा कोई बख्शने वाला नहीं। आमीन। अब सजदा शुक्र। Allahu Akbar.
Faire la prosternation de remerciement d'Allah. Assalamu alaikum. Sa sainteté va se diriger à présent vers le podium d'où il va nous mener dans la prière de Dhuhr et d'Asr.
Ajwa, South Morden, 5 A stars and 6 A's. Barakallah lakum. Osama Sardar, New Malden, 8 A stars. Barakallah lakum. Shahmir Mirani Baloch, Thornton Heath, 6 A stars and 5 A's. Taimur Ahmed Khan Pasha, Mosque, 8 A stars and 4 A's. Uzairur Rahman Nasir, Worcester Park, 6 A stars and 6 A's. Mohsin Zafar Tooting, 6 A stars, 5 A's and 1 A in A-level mathematics. Barakallahu lakum. Now we move on to the A-level candidates. Fahim Malik, Birmingham Central, 4 A stars and 1 B. Osama Hamid, Birmingham Central, 3 A stars and 1 A. Hamid Buttar, Blackburn, 2 A stars, 1 A and 1 B at A level. Shazeb Ilahi Hayes, 2 A stars and 2 A's. Barakallahu lakum. Qasim Salam Putney, 40 points in International Baccalaureate Diploma. Barakallahu lakum. Sayyab Mansoor, Leicester, 4 A's at A level. Damir Rafi Cheem, 3 A stars and 1 A at A level. Ali Zohair Gondal, Scunthorpe, 4 A stars at A level.
Peace Prize का ऐलान.
Assalamu alaikum, Hazur. As each year we announce at Jalsa Salana the Peace Prize for the year. This year, with the consent of Hazur Aqdas, the Peace Prize has been awarded to Heiner Belefit. He is a 56-year-old professor of human rights and human rights politics at the University of Erlangen, Nuremberg, Germany. Professor Belefit received his PhD in philosophy from the University of Tübingen in 1989. He specializes in human rights and human rights politics and is widely acknowledged as an expert in the issue of religious freedom and public policy. He has authored and co-authored over 100 papers on subjects including religious freedom and human rights, access to water, justice and human rights, forced marriages, Muslim minorities in secular law, and human dignity as the foundation of human rights. The professor has investigated and spoken about the relationship between Hindus and Muslims in India and the Baha'is in Iran and the Coptic Christians in Egypt. He has spoken and written about the persecution of minorities in Kazakhstan, and in his report on Pakistan, he raised the issue of increasing attacks on minorities, including Shias, Ahmadis and Christians. And he has also called for the EU to link its aid to human rights. On the 1st of August 2010, Professor Belefelt assumed his mandate as the United Nations Special Rapporteur on freedom of religion and belief. From 2003 to 2009, he was the director of German National Human Rights Institution. His research interests include various interdisciplinary facts of human rights, theory and practical, with a focus on freedom of religion and public policy. The Special Rapporteur on freedom of religion of belief is an independent expert appointed by the UN Human Rights Council to identify existing and emerging obstacles to religious freedom and then present recommendations on ways and means to overcome such obstacles. Professor Byfield said in a recent interview in the Diplomatic magazine, "The work on behalf of the minorities is also a service of majorities. The freedom of religion on belief is not just a minority issue, it is really about how to organize coexistence in the spirit of respect. They deserve special attention not because they are special people, but because they are living in a situation of increased vulnerability." His recent report on issues around religious conversion, providing an inspiration for the Operation 18 campaign. Operation 18 mission is to uphold Article 18 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which protects right of freedom of religion or belief in all its various forms. His passion for defending the rights of all and his work over the past 20 years, his commitment to promoting peace through justice have been recognized widely, and we are honored to announce him as the prize winner of the 2014 Muslim Peace Prize. The prize will be presented to him at the Peace Symposium later on. Jazakallah. World come and present their messages of good wish to the attendees of the Jalsa Salana. And this afternoon we have many dignitaries, both from the United Kingdom and from other parts of the world, who will be presenting their messages of goodwill on this very auspicious occasion. So this afternoon, our first speaker is Arthur Hookway. Arthur is the Mayor of Sutton and worked for the London Fire Brigade for 30 years, from 1974 to 2004, finishing the last 3 years of his career as Sutton's Borough Commander. His theme for his mayoral year is volunteers and volunteering in the community. He wants to do everything he possibly can during this year to support those very worthy people who he considers the backbone of the community. Arthur is joining us for the first time, and I understand that he's been looking forward to being at the Jalsa Salana. It gives me great pleasure to welcome him to the stage to come and say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum. His Holiness, distinguished brethren, ladies and gentlemen. Myself and my Mayoress, my wife Sue, are delighted to be here to celebrate 125 years of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community. Firstly, I would like to praise the valuable contribution that faith groups such as your community make to the overall quality of life to everyone in my beloved borough of Sutton in London. Also, with what is currently happening in the world, it is hugely reassuring to hear your message of love for all, hatred for none. This mantra is certainly a message well worth spreading. I am a firm believer that faith groups contribute hugely to the vitality of Sutton. They have an ability to harness community spirit and generosity, working alongside voluntary and statutory bodies serving some of the most vulnerable people in our borough. The Ahmadiyyan community in Sutton is no exception. From the vantage point of the beautiful Baitul Mosque, the largest mosque complex in Western Europe, which sits on Sutton's doorstep, you have helped raise a great deal of money for great causes such as Water for Life, Feed a Village and Orphan Care, as well as organised youth clubs and activities for local children. Faith groups have an ability to harness the enthusiastic altruism for others that exist in our communities. Councils and other public agencies, some of whom have been distrustful over the years of working with faith groups, need to recognise that we have so much in common and should work much more closely and collaboratively. Finally, that is what we're doing, and we're very pleased to have the active engagement of our Ahmadiyya community in this joint endeavour. Your growing community in Sutton adds richness and diversity to our community, and we thank you, and I thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next in Pakistan, it gives me great pleasure to welcome Honourable Ward Khamis to say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum. His Holiness, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank the Ahmadiyya community for the invitation to join the Jalsa Salana in the UK this year. I would also thank you for your friendship and ongoing support and cooperation. In recent times, we have been witness of war, violence and discrimination in different countries of the world. At a time when world events cast a dark shadow over Islam, the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community invites the world to see what true Islam stands for. I was touched by the opening speech of yesterday and my meeting yesterday evening with His Holiness. It inspires me to learn more about the true teaching of Islam. You denounce extremisms for ignoring Islam's true teaching of adherence to peacefulness, tolerance, and respect for the religious freedoms of others. This was the message of His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad at the United States Congress on Capitol Hill, in the European Parliament in December 2012 in Brussels in Belgium, and it is his message across the world. I highly appreciate the involvement of the Ahmadiyya community in the promotion of respect, mutual understanding and charity actions across the world, as well as in our country, Belgium. And I would like to mention the good work that Ahmed Bashir and his people are doing in my region in Belgium. People of different religions, cultures and nationalities should be focused on what we share and what we have in common. On our shoulders rests a great responsibility to leave our world and our planet in a better shape to our children and to the future generations. Therefore, we need strength and deep conviction, but also a great love for our brothers and sisters. Where do we find strength? Where do we find a deep conviction? And where do we find a great love? We know the answer. We find it in our belief in our Almighty God and His love for the human race. We find it in the traditions of our communities and cultures. And I know that the Ahmadiyya Muslim community has a strong faith and strong traditions that have enabled you to overcome the terrible persecution and injustice in some countries. But under the guidance of your worldwide leader, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, a man of peace, you are setting a model of tolerance and patience. During this convention, I have met some personalities from different countries, and we shared our feelings and determination for collaboration with the Ahmadiyya community. It is amazing to share the same feeling we have, and it seems to be like that on many places around the world. I hope that your works, your message of peace, and your philosophy of love for all and hatred for none continue to flourish in Belgium and throughout the world. In my capacity of mayor and member of parliament, and on behalf of my wife and children present with me for this convention, we would like to thank you for the invitation, thank you for your love and your hospitality, and we wish you Jalsa Salana Mubarak.
Thank you very much for your kind words. Next, we have another eminent speaker from the United Kingdom. Our next speaker is the Mayor of Croydon, Councillor Manju Sheshul Hamid, was an active in student politics and has served in the former front branch spokesman, and her priority has been to give voice to the community. Councillor Manju is a good friend of the Jamaat, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome her to the stage to come and say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Myself and my consort Muhammad Rafi are delighted to join you all at the Jalsa Salana, which brings together 30,000 participants from more than 50 countries. Congratulations to all of you for celebrating this event's 40th birthday. As the mayor and a resident of Croydon, I have seen the fantastic contribution the Ahmadiyya community make to the well-being of the people around them. There is an Ahmadiyya mosque in Croydon, and I have been there to attend Peace Convention. I have listened to the talk, which gives importance to the community cohesion, and we all have a moral responsibility to preserve our unity for future generations. The community also organized community events for Queen's birthday and for the royal wedding. The organizers distributed leaflets in the local community, inviting everyone to attend. As a local councillor, I have attended both events to support their contribution, which was most definitely promoting your motto, love for all, hatred for none. I'm really impressed with the humanitarian work you are doing in the world. You help people from all walks of life, young and old, and most importantly, you help people regardless of what faith, ethnicity, or cultural background they are from. During my mayoral year, I am supporting two charities, which are Age UK and Macmillan Cancer Care. There are two local charities which are based in Croydon, and it provides fantastic service to the well-being of the community. It is fantastic to know there are people out there raising money for their chosen charities. The humanitarian work of the Ahmadiyya community in health, education and poverty relief is really the true form of social action. I hope you are all using this event as a networking opportunity to get to know each other and find out more about communities and how you can get involved to make a difference in the community. Once again, very pleased to be here, and congratulations to all the organizers, the committee, the volunteers for their hard work and dedication to make a difference in the people around you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lady Mayor. Our next speaker comes all the way from Trinidad and Tobago, Honorable Prakash Ramanji Council, and has also served as the Vice Chair of Toronto Police Services Board, as a member of the North York Council's Executive Committee. Judy is a great supporter and has an excellent relationship with the Jamaat in Canada. She always speaks out against the persecution of Ahmadis. It gives me great pleasure to welcome her, and I request her to come and say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum. Your Holiness, special guests, members of the community. I'm thrilled to be here as part of the celebration for the 48th year and to celebrate this with people from over 50 countries. The message is so important to increase everyone's knowledge and to leave this conference feeling renewed, both mentally and spiritually. I had the great pleasure this morning of sitting in on His Holiness's message to the ladies. And this message was a message that should be shared with everyone, not only the Ahmadiyya community. It's a message of love and respect and understanding, the message that the world needs to hear. I would hope that all of us, when we leave here, and with all of our special guests from different countries and in leadership roles, would take that message back and deliver it in their own words. That is the way that we are going to ensure that the world will be a better place. How do we strengthen each other's relationship? How do we talk about the work of the pen, not bombs and not bullets, as the way to solve problems? It's the words, the opportunities to talk together on these issues that will make a difference. My husband has joined me here in London as well, as also a supporter of the community. I have to say that in Canada, wonderful things are happening. Our communities are growing. Humanity First is a wonderful organization that is reaching around the world that many of you know of, that is doing unbelievable work in many of our communities. Together, we will make a better world for each and every one of us. But we all have a lot of work to do. So when we leave here with these beautiful messages of love for all and hatred for none, it's very important to reach out to your neighbors, to your fellow workers, to talk about caring about each other, talking about the true Islam, what it means. It's an important role for each and every one of us to do. If we're going to change the world, we need to begin to do that, especially after this particular experience being here. I want to congratulate all of the volunteers. I understand there's over 1,400 volunteers here. I want to congratulate each and every one of you for the work that you've done to provide us an opportunity to come together, to learn more about the Ahmadiyya community, to learn more about what each and every one of us can do, that has an obligation to do, which is to provide leadership, both on a political sense and in every other way that we can, to ensure that the world is going to be a better place. And it's not going to be a world full of hate. It will be a world that learns that the best 6 words that can be said are love for all and hatred for none. I also have a message from the leader of the Liberal Party of Canada, Mr. Justin Trudeau, that I would briefly like to read out to you. As the leader of the Liberal Party of Canada, it's with great pleasure that I welcome everyone to Hampshire, United Kingdom for their 48th Jalsa Salana. Since its inauguration, the annual Jalsa Salana conference has worked to strengthen the relationship between Ahmadiyya Muslim communities around the world by bringing together delegations from various countries. In addition to promoting closer ties between members of the Ahmadiyya community, the Jalsa Salana also enhances attendees' spiritual awareness and knowledge. In Canada, our Ahmadiyya community has made and continues to make significant contributions to our country's landscape. We have now formed the Ahmadiyya Friendship Group, which is an all-party group of all members of Parliament, all different parties, that we together are united to ensure that the Ahmadiyya community has another voice in Canada. Thank you so very much for the opportunity to be here. God bless all of you, and may we continue to pray for His holiness, His strength, and good health, so He can continue to help us move forward on these messages. Assalamu alaikum.
Nare Takbir! Nare Takbir! Jamaat Ahmadiyya Canada!
Thank you very much. Our next speaker also comes from Canada. Honourable Tin Opo is current Minister of State for Multiculturalism in Canada. He was elected to the House of Commons in 2008 and has also served as a Minister of State for Democratic Reform. He is the founder and president of the South Edmonton Youth Group and is also the founding member of the Edmonton Police Community. He is here as the official representative of the Government of Canada. Tim is a very good friend of the Jamaat and is a supporter of our role in the wider community. He has also visited Pakistan and Qadian, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome him and request him to come and say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum, Your Holiness, distinguished guests from around the world, friends. On behalf of the Prime Minister of Canada, Right Honourable Stephen Harper, and the Government of Canada, I am honoured and privileged to participate in this very important international convention, along with my fellow Canadians. This past spring, Canada had the honour of hosting His Holiness, and Canadians from all backgrounds and nationalities greeted him with much enthusiasm. That's because His Holiness was in our country to spread His message of peace, love, and harmony, the message of the Ahmadiyya community. In Canada, this is a message that we not only welcome, that we strongly believe in. As you know, Canada is a country that welcomes people from around the world. We now maintain the highest level of per capita levels of immigration in the developed world, welcoming new Canadian citizens from a remarkable 219 countries just last year alone. Despite our differences, we aim to find unity in our diversity, or as per the Ahmadiyya motto, to find love for all and hatred for none, to be united by our common identity and Canadian values. We encourage newcomers to Canada to integrate, to participate in our democratic life, and to embrace our values of freedom, democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. At the same time, we continue to encourage all Canadians to openly celebrate their heritage and religious beliefs. Canada is also recognized around the world for its acceptance of minority groups and the victims of persecution. And that is why Prime Minister Stephen Harper was proud to announce the establishment of Canada's new Office of Religious Freedoms at the Ahmadiyya Muslim headquarters in Ontario. The Government of Canada has made freedom of religion a foreign policy priority. We believe all religious communities have the right to practice their faith in peace and security, free from violence and intimidation. Friends, as you all know, in Pakistan, hundreds of our Ahmadiyya community have been murdered for their faith and their beliefs, and thousands arrested for declaring Islam their faith. I am proud to say that the Canadian government has and will continue to speak out against this type of religious persecution. ਜਿਵੇਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਚ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਮੋਢੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੋਢੇ ਲਾ ਕੇ ਖੜੇ ਆ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ. I have personally visited the Ahmadiyya community in Pakistan. I have met with politicians and lawmakers in Pakistan to raise the issue of religious persecutions of Ahmadiyyas and the voting rights for Ahmadiyyas in Pakistan, which they do not have. While Ahmadiyyas continue to face persecution abroad, they are welcomed in Canada, and this reflects our Canadian values of tolerance and respect for diversity and equality. As servants of humanity, the Ahmadiyya community in Canada regularly host a number of charitable events to give back to their local communities. They also make many other notable contributions in helping to maintain our peaceful society. The Government of Canada commends the Ahmadiyya community's efforts to spread their positive message of peace, love, and harmony in Canada and around the world. And I believe this message is more important now considering the events that are happening around the world. I applaud the Ahmadiyya Muslim community for hosting this convention and for encouraging everyone to seek spiritual and moral advancement. Thank you.
Narae Takbir! Mr. Tim Uppal!
Exceptional efforts in promoting peace in the world. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Peter to the stage to say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. May peace be with you. My name is Peter. I'm from Singapore. Today I'm here on behalf of my chairman, Mr. Lee Kun Choi, under the organization for GOC 100, Global Outstanding Chinese 100. Mr. Lee, as you know from the introduction, he's a man of culture, a man of peace. He's here to promote peace. He had met our Hazrat in Singapore. That was last year, on the 26th of September. Through the introduction of Dr. Marik Chaudhry and also Ayazi, we had a wonderful time with a cultural exchange and unfolding of peace and love within this multicultural society. In recognition of Hazrat global peace effort and the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jumat worldwide community adjustment and accomplishment, like humanity first, peace villages in Canada and Africa. GOC 100 is here to present the plug of peace to the head of peace, Hazrat. In the Chinese world, dragon signifies leadership, authority, especially to the world as the head of the community. In today's troubled world, recognition of leadership for the works of peace is much needed. Finally, on the behalf of GOC 100, Global Outstanding Chinese 100, and Chairman Lee, inshallah, I hope your movement will succeed in establishing world peace and community building in the world. Thank you.
Jamaat Ahmadiyya Singapore.
Thank you. Yes, last year in Singapore, my chairman. Yes, they can take a photo of peace. Let him sniff the oil. So he want to give you this is his own. So he want you to have the blessing and peace. It's the real oil of agave. Thank you. I think you love it, you can smell it.
Hazrat, there is an urgent announcement. Rana, who is the member of the European Parliament and is also the chairman of the EU Working Group for Freedom of Religion. Dennis is a very good friend of the community and always supports our Jamaat efforts in tackling persecution of Ahmadis. It gives me a great pleasure to ask Dennis to come and say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum. Your Holiness, dear friends, it's for me quite an experience to be here. I mean, so many people together and the police only drinking coffee and not being active for the rest. So many people together and everything runs smoothly, and I see kind faces. And most of all, I see the message, love for all, hatred for none. That's very impressive, and I thank you all very much for letting me be here. I must say that as a teenager, it was that very same message that brought me to, in my case, the Christian faith, and also made it very clear for me that faith is very important. The United Nations has also said it. For those who have a religion or belief, it's the most fundamental aspect of their life, and we should recognize that. That also made me, as a student, to choose eventually for freedom of religion or belief as a subject for my thesis, which eventually, after 22 years, became a book of 777 pages. And that was not because I was a lazy student, I was doing it next to my normal work, but also because ever more over the time we saw that religious persecution increased. There was more to write about. And in that book, I paid already quite a bit of attention to the Ahmadiyya faith, because it's a faith that is vulnerable, because it's so respectful, and it's also a faith that I couldn't understand why that was the subject of persecution in many countries in the world. After that, the book was eventually published in 2000. I remained active on freedom of religion or belief, and right now, as member of the European Parliament, I do chair indeed, together with a colleague, a working group on freedom of religion or belief. And again, I think it's very important that we don't do what some members in the European Parliament would like to do, is to concentrate on Christians only, but to extend it to all those who suffer from persecution. And that very much includes the Ahmadis. And for that reason, you can certainly count on my full support, and also on that support, the support of my colleagues. And I think that we should really maintain a very good dialogue. I fully respect your point of view that you want love and not hatred. I share that you want to be peaceful instead of demonstrating in the streets or be more visible. But that's also why we need to be in constant dialogue on what you think that European countries can do to bring an end, a peaceful end, to the persecution that you experience in many countries of the world. Again, you can count on my full support, and I wish you every success. Thank you very much.
Narae Takbir! Mr. Dennis D. Jong, Jamaat Ahmadiyya Holland.
Thank you very much. So our final speaker this evening is Justin Greening, Member of Parliament. Justin is a very close and sincere friend of the community. Right Honourable Justin Greening has served as the Vice Chairman of the Conservative Party, Shadow Minister for Treasury, Shadow Minister for Communities and Local Government, Economic Secretary to the Treasury, Secretary of State for Transport, and currently she serves as the Secretary of State for International Development. Fazal Mosque is in her constituency of Putney and Southfields, and she is a powerful advocate for humanitarian causes and the need to help others achieve sustainable development. She also speaks on human rights, and we are honoured to consider her as a close friend of the community. It gives me great pleasure to welcome her to Jalsa Salana and request her to come and say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum. Your Holiness, distinguished delegates, I'm truly privileged to be able to address you here today. I've been to the Jalsa Salana many times, but it's always a privilege to be here and to see so many people in one place from all around the world. It was also a privilege to meet with His Holiness earlier today, and I would like to thank him for his leadership on behalf of the Ahmadiyya community and for being such a powerful voice for peace around the world. I'm very proud that the Ahmadiyya community has a mosque, its first mosque in the United Kingdom, in my own constituency of Putney, Roehampton and Southfields. The role that it plays both locally and internationally is a very, very important one. Firstly, locally, the Ahmadiyya community is an important part of my broader local community that I represent in Parliament. And when we have times of crisis, whether it was the July the 7th bombings in 2005, when it was the Ahmadiyya community brought together faiths from across London, across our local community, to talk about the issues and to face them as one community, or whether it was the floods that we faced earlier this year when the Ahmadiyya Muslim Youth Organisation did amazing work just down the road from here actually to help residents who've been affected by those terrible floods. I think you can be immensely proud of the role that the Ahmadiyya community plays here in the United Kingdom. And of course, in my role as Secretary of State for International Development, I think we share a common purpose with the work that Humanity First does in tackling the huge suffering that we see around the world, perhaps never more so than today. And I, this week, was seeing refugees in the Middle East who've been affected by the crisis in Iraq in recent days and weeks. I think the work that both Humanity First does and the United Kingdom does as a country in providing suffering and life-saving support to people in their hour of need is incredibly important, and it's work that we should all be very, very proud of. I know that Humanity First does some amazing work, not just in times of urgent need and crisis, but to help countries develop. And again, I pay tribute to that. In so many ways, it mirrors the work of my own Department of International Development. And we're looking at how we can work together more closely in the future in our common purpose. Finally, I just wanted to say that, of course, the work that Humanity First does and my own department is so important, but of course, whilst some of those people who face suffering because of natural disasters, too many of them face suffering because of the failures of people to be able to resolve their differences and the failures of people to be able to live peacefully side by side. The message that the Ahmadiyya community has, which is a simple but a powerful one, of love for all and hatred for none, is surely one of the most important places that we need to start in order to have reconciliation and to bring together communities for the long term. I have no doubt that the Ahmadiyya community itself has an incredibly important role to play in that reconciliation process, and I would like to thank you for the work that you do here in the United Kingdom to bring our communities together more broadly. And at a time when we debate and discuss how we can tackle radicalisation of some of our young people, I think that work has never been more important or indeed more valued by the British people here in the United Kingdom. Thank you very much.
Narae Takbir! Humanity first! United Kingdom!
So that concludes our presentation.
Hani Tahir Sahib Tilawat.
Of goodwill to this Jalsa Salana, I would like to request him to come and say a few words.
Good afternoon, everyone. His Holiness, National President, ladies and gentlemen. Best wishes from Alton Town Council and all the people who live in Alton, which is a town of 20,000 people, just 10 or 15 minutes drive from here. I'm very honoured to accept your invitation to join you at your 48th annual convention. Last year, I had the honour of being here and giving a speech. This was a very special convention as you were celebrating your 100th anniversary of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association in the UK. This year is also a very special year as it marks 125 years since the community was established in 1889. Your motto, love for all, hatred for none, is as important today as it was 100 years ago. On a very personal level, for several years I was the Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing for a company called Ahmadiyya. This company is based in Islamabad, Pakistan, and I have therefore spent many enjoyable periods in Pakistan and particularly in Islamabad. Your charitable work, both in the local and wider communities, is highly commendable and very much appreciated. Finally, I would like to wish you every success for the next 100 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next respected guest is the Mayor of Waverley, Councillor Liz Wheatley. Liz Wheatley is, as I mentioned, the Mayor of Waverley and a member of the Central Area Planning Committee. Liz represents Biscombe Ward and was first elected to Waverley Borough Council in 2007. It is an honour for us to invite her to our Jalsa Salana, and I'm very pleased that she has accepted our invitation and would request her to come and say a few words.
Your Holiness, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, Mr. Rafiq Hayat Sahab, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, everybody. Particularly in view of the difficulties around the world at present, it gives me immense pleasure to attend this convention celebrating 125 years of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community. To be amongst those who crave peace and for whom the maxim is love for all and hatred for none. We're actually most fortunate that it is this area in southern England that has been chosen to host the convention with all its thousands of visitors for the boost it gives the local economy. I first had the privilege of becoming acquainted with the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association UK when very early in my mayoralty I was asked by Mrs. Rashida Nazir to participate in the Women's Interfaith Seminar. It was a great delight to meet the ladies of the association and to learn something of their Tilford community. I know the association is anxious to do what it can to help the area through charitable works. In fact, the ladies of the community have already raised £1,500 to help former Farnham Mayor, Councillor Stephen Hill, with his Vital Food Bank project. At the beginning of August, my husband and I had great fun at the recent family festival at Islamabad in Tilford, when they even managed to get me on a horse for the first time in nearly 60 years. At that event, £500 was raised for Post-19, the very worthwhile charity of the current Mayor of Farnham, Councillor Jeremy Ricketts. Right now, the association is in the process of planning a sponsored walk for my mayoral charity, Citizens Advice Waverley, which is to take place in and around Tilford on the Sunday late in October. Thank you very much indeed for inviting me to the convention today. It's a tremendous honour and privilege to be allowed to address you, and yet another wonderful experience from my mayoralty for me to treasure. I give you Waverley's very, very best wishes for now and the future, and I shall look forward to seeing you all again next year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Our next respected speaker this afternoon is Mr. Kevin Hurley. Kevin Hurley is the Police and Crime Commissioner for Surrey and has been since November 2012. Previously, Kevin was an officer of the Territorial Army and served in the Parachute Regiment and the Royal Military Police. He was awarded the Voluntary Reserve Services Medal in 2005. Kevin has experience across the board for supporting local communities to senior leadership roles. It gives me great pleasure to invite Kevin to come and say a few words.
Salaam alaikum. Your Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, Mr. Rafiq Wayed Saab, ladies and gentlemen. I speak to you today as the senior politician for the County of Surrey, responsible for public safety, and also a member of the Home Secretary's Protective Services Group, who oversee our safety in the country. I want to leave you with one message, and it is this. You are a very special group of people. Your belief, what you preach, love for all, hatred for none, could never be more important in this country or throughout the world. I suspect, and you probably do as well, we're about to go through a difficult period in the United Kingdom. Your body, your religion, your beliefs are going to be fundamental to maintaining peace, calm and cohesion amongst some people who want to stir up trouble. So I say to you, thank you for the message that you currently spread all the time. Love for all, hatred for none. Please keep on doing it. Please keep on accepting it on the chin. But please do it even harder than you are now. Thank you.
Surrey Police!
Thank you very much, Kevin. Our next eminent speaker is representing the Queen, Mrs. Satinder Kaur, OBE, is the Deputy Lieutenant for West Midlands region. She was awarded the OBE in 2013 for her voluntary and charitable services to inter-ethnic relations. Her contribution to inter-community integration and cohesion has been tremendous. She is a voluntary chaplain for the Heart of England NHS Trust Foundation. I'd like to welcome her and request her to come and say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Your Holiness, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, Imam Sahib, President Mr. Rafiq Hayat, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors, Members of Parliament, distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, and above all, children, good afternoon. It's my great honor and privilege to participate in 48th Annual Convention. Your motto, love for all, hatred for none, is commendable. This means at peace with everyone. As Guru Nanak Ji said, the first Guru of the Sikhs, Awwal Allah Nuru Paya, अव्वल अल्लाह नूर पाया कुदरत दे सब बंदे एक नूर ते सब जग उपजिया कौन पले को मंदे. This means Allah created the divine light. From this light, He created the human beings. The entire universe is created from this divine light. So, who is good and who is bad? This is such a powerful universal message of peace. Let's decode the word. Let's decode the letters that make up the word peace. P-E-A-C-E. P is an occurrence of harmony, love, togetherness, freedom, equality, and respect. Characterized no violence, no conflict, no revenge. Having freedom from fear of violence and distress, and people uniting around the world, living in prosperity. E is an end of all wars and conflicts, treating each other with respect and equality. A stands for all human beings, helping each other, living in tranquility with goodwill. C stands for the countries shaking hands and sharing their resources and skills for the brighter future of humanity. E stands for everyone living in harmony with warm, caring hearts and serving hands with social, emotional, and economic security. I would like to share my message of peace. My wonderful dream is to embrace the brotherhood of mankind. Let's love and take care of everybody and embrace the humanity. Break down the walls of hatred, break down the walls of hatred and build the tower of love. Let's quench the thirst of the thirsty and the hunger of the hungry. Let's all get together and create heaven on this earth. Shout the slogan of mankind and fly the global flag. Let's speak the language of mankind and lay the foundation of togetherness. Let's link the languages of this wonderful world together. Let's all sing the song of love, peace, and freedom. Let's all change our dream into reality. It's only possible if we look after the plight of women. Everyone present here has got a woman in their life, and that is your mother. A woman is a strong pillar of humanity and epitome of strength and sacrifice. A woman is a mother, reflection of God, a homemaker, a nurturer. A woman is a guide and a dedicated helper, a light of bliss which dispels the darkness. A woman always strives to excel herself in all circumstances and all spheres of life. This is the true definition of a woman. I feel blessed to be a woman, a daughter, a wife, a mother, a friend, and above all, a human being to live with dignity and pride. Respect the women globally and seek their blessings. I wish Ahmadiyya Muslim Community all over the world a great success and congratulate them their remarkable efforts to promote peace, love, togetherness, harmony, social cohesion under the leadership and direction of His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad. As गालिब ने खूब कहा है, ए चांद तू किस मजहब का है, ए चांद तू किस मजहब का है, ईद भी तेरी और करवा चौथ भी तेरा है. I'm grateful to be asked to speak at your annual convention and look forward to be here for many years to come. Thank you very much. Thank you.
नारे तकबीर, पेशवाने मज़हब, humanity.
Thank you very much. At a recent Eid Milan Thank you very much. Our next speaker comes from the United Kingdom. Mr. Remy Ranger, MBE, was made a member of the British Empire in 2005 for his services to British business and Asian community. Remy is the chairman of the UK-Pakistan-India Forum, and he is one of the leading businessmen of the Asian community in the United Kingdom. He's a social leader, a very good friend of the Jamaat. I'd like to welcome him and request him to say a few words. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm also the chairman of British Sikh Association, and on behalf of the Pakistan, India and UK Friendship Forum, along with the British Sikh Association, I bring you best wishes and greetings for this magnificent Jalsa, which I have attended on many occasions before. I am grateful to Mr. Muzaffar Chaudhry for inviting me. He is a great ambassador of your community and faith, full of love and humility. I'm always attracted, like the rest of the speaker, with your message, love for all, hatred for none. Unfortunately, fanatics read this message as hatred for all and love for none. They not only destroy innocent lives, but also their own, along with their families. For the sake of paradise, they turn our beautiful world into hell. A community is as great as its leaders. Some selfish leaders deliberately make their people weak in order to become stronger. They use vulnerable people to terrorize the world. We must condemn them openly for our own good. Regrettably, there are still some countries in the world where your message of love for all and hatred for none hasn't reached. They are still using religion to divide their own people, and in the process breeding hatred among their own citizens. No country can move forward while systematically discriminating against any section of her own population on the basis of religion, race or gender. Incidentally, no country can be democratic unless it is also a secular, where equality for every citizen is enshrined in its constitution. We can see how such countries are going backward by encouraging infighting among their citizens on the basis of religion, while the rest of the world is surging ahead. We are fortunate to live in Britain, where there are laws against discrimination. By adopting British values, which made Britain great, we too can become successful. Everyone who lives in Britain becomes a part of Britain, and as a result must move in the same direction to build a cohesive society to benefit everyone, including our next generation. Let's take example of scaffolding. Each steel bar is held together for a common purpose. The result is a strong structure which allows progress to take place. However, if each steel bar was allowed to point in whichever direction it chose, then it would be nothing more than a mess. Loyalty to Britain is prerequisite for success. Nowhere in the world we can enjoy freedom and opportunity as we do in Britain. Let's work for the success of our adopted country, Britain, which will in turn become our own success.
Mary takes a keen interest in poverty and international development and was an ambassador for ActionAid. She's a long-standing supporter of the community who has helped us in many ways and is also a member of our parliamentary group. Mary is a passionate local supporter of Hansel Jamaat and has also supported the Right for Peace event. It's a great pleasure for me to invite her to our Jalsa Salana, and I request her to say a few words.
Good afternoon, Your Holiness, Mr. President, my Lord, ladies and gentlemen, friends. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for inviting me here today to speak at this year's Jalsa Salana. It is a real honour for me to speak again to you, and it's such a wonderful gathering as the Conservative Member of Parliament in Hounslow in West London. This is my 4th visit to your annual convention, and I thank you once more for your kind invitation and the warmth and the welcome that you have given me and the opportunity to meet with old friends and new this year. I know this will be a difficult time for your community following the appalling violence just a few weeks ago in Gujranwala when a pregnant woman and 2 young girls were killed. Like so many across the globe, I was appalled at this senseless and brutal murder of innocent people. We need to keep raising this in an international context, so inshallah this does not happen again and that we get rid of all persecution. Sadly, in recent times, we have witnessed many similar violent and atrocious acts across the globe, which seem so far removed from the true values of any religion. How important then is your belief? Love for all and hatred for none. How I wish more people around the world believed that this was the right way to live. I would like to start today by paying tribute to you, to the Ahmadi community, because you exhibit the very best characteristics of humanity. This is evident in your charity fundraising, the service to those in need, and your promotion of peace. You have demonstrated your commitment and support to our country in the United Kingdom in so many ways, from raising millions of pounds for British charities, supporting the commemorations of the First World War by helping to plant thousands of ceramic poppies this year at Tower Bridge, joining in the Lights Out ceremony, planting thousands of trees, feeding homeless projects, donating blood and promoting messages of peace. I was fortunate enough to be invited to the Hounslow Ahmadi community to welcome the cyclists on the Ride of Peace earlier this year as part of the work they were doing for the British Heart Foundation. And I would like to take this moment to thank the Ahmadi community in the London Borough of Hounslow, who have always shown me such warmth and friendship, and I really appreciate that for all that they have done. These are just a few of the ways how you all support peace and community across the United Kingdom and help build strong local communities. Your national president summed up this commitment to your home country when he said, "We strive to serve God and serve mankind. This is the essence of Islam that we adhere to, which is based on a jihad of love and not a jihad of the sword." In my short message to you today, I would like to just focus on the importance of the core values of tolerance and respect, and how we can encourage aspiration across this country and across this globe. The Prime Minister of this country, the Right Honourable David Cameron, has said, "I commend the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community UK's commitment to tolerance and respect." And there's a commitment to these principles despite the ongoing assaults and violence against your community, which is so difficult but yet so important. And respect can come in many forms, whether it is respect for oneself, one's religion, one's country, or the world and its inhabitant. It is all about how we treat one another. We hear too much in the news about violence, particularly against women, that should not be tolerated. Domestic abuse is still a global issue, and I see it even across London, but an issue that has no place in our society. I hope that you will all join with me and do all you can to support our efforts to eradicate violence against women wherever it occurs. Only if we join together on these sorts of campaigns, and especially when the men help stand up against violence, then we will make progress, because it is all about respect. We still have much to learn about how we build greater tolerance and respect between communities across the world. I welcome the fact that the Ahmadi community encourages the study of all religions and dialogue between faiths. It must be the case that with greater understanding comes greater peace in the world. And this, I believe, is a lesson to us all. As part of today, this message is all about how we create and make this world a more peaceful and better place. Creating aspiration for the next generation is part of that. And each of us has a responsibility to use the skills and the talents that God has given us to create that better world, to leave this world a better place, to do something great with our lives. What mark can we make on our country, or whatever country you are from today, on the communities in which we live? What can we do that might encourage others to be better, to achieve more, and to really make a difference? My friends, we can all contribute to our world. The young people here today, you will be the leaders of tomorrow. You will be the doctors, the teachers, the entrepreneurs, the politicians who will shape our future. And you will make this a more peaceful world to live in. My role as a Member of Parliament is to do what I can, in some small way, to make a difference to my constituents and to my country. And with your help and support, we can achieve so much. To those here from the UK, we have an election year ahead. And I would encourage you all to get involved both locally and nationally in the important debates that will shape the future for our country. You all have so much to give, and your voices should be heard. Contribute to the debate, because we sometimes take for granted the freedom and democracy in which we live, and the opportunity to vote is a gift to be respected and cherished. In conclusion, thank you once again for the opportunity to speak at your special event today. As I have said, the contribution that you make in so many ways is much appreciated and valued. I hope that very much that your message of peace continues to be heard in the United Kingdom and throughout the world. Living by these values, each and every one of you will have helped in making this world a better place. In difficult times, when extremist views try to sway us from our path, we must redouble our efforts to share the values of peace and tolerance, of love for all and hatred for none. I thank you, and my best wishes to you all. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker needs no introduction. Lord Tariq Ahmad of Wimbledon, who is currently the Under Secretary of State and Ministers for Communities at the Department of Communities and Local Government, appointed in July 2014. Prior to this, he was a government whip and Lord Spokesman in the House of Lords for Science and Universities. He is well known to the community and therefore needs no further introduction. I'd like to call him to come and say a few words.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Beloved Hazur, dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. It is indeed both a great pleasure and honour, but also a point of great humility for me to stand before you today at this august convention. 125 years ago, the promised Messiah, the Mahdi of Islam, laid the foundations of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community across the world. Today, 125 years on, the community has made strides across the world. It is most humbling for me to stand before you today as a minister of Her Majesty's government, as the grandson of a companion of the very promised Messiah, my grandfather, of course, Hazrat Jadi Ali Muhammad Biti Sahib, known to many of you. From those early origins in Qadian, the community and members of the community have flourished from every corner of the globe. In every profession, in every field, you see Ahmadi Muslims excelling, men and women alike, going forward, demonstrating through words, through actions most importantly, what the true Islam, the renaissance of Islam is, which is Ahmadiyyat. Hazur, I know with colleagues across Parliament, indeed across the world, condemned universally the tragic events we've seen across the world of persecution against the Ahmadiyya Jamaat. We reflect, of course, on the tragic assassination of Dr. Mahdi, the killing, the brutal killing of the young girls Kainat and Hira, along with other relatives in Gujranwala. And I assure you that every government, including my own, does not stand back. Representations are made. The strongest condemnations are made. But the most powerful response to this is what our beloved Hazur does. In face of persecution, he says, pray. In the face of violence, he preaches peace. And as we've heard from many a colleague from different governments today, and where we find hate as a community, Hazur and every ambassador of the community across the world preaches love. For this was the way of the holy founder of Islam, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it is that very spirit infused today in the renaissance of Islam, which is Ahmadiyyat. We talk sometimes of symbolism. We talk, can religion and national pride and loyalty to one's nation come together? I point no further often to guests at the Jalsa than just across the way from this very marquee, where you see the standard, the Lavai Ahmadiyyat of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, fluttering high, being respected, being protected. But alongside that is the flag of our country, of the United Kingdom. So when it comes to Ahmadi Muslims, there is no contradiction, there is no conflict. Being proud and devout of one's religion means one's proud and loyal to one's nation. So my dear brothers and sisters, my beloved Hazur, let me assure you that my government does take the issues that the Ahmadiyya Jamaat presents very seriously. It recognizes across the board the services of the community, as we've heard from Mary and others alike, that the Jamaat makes in the charitable sector. I know many were touched, for example, when the hundreds of thousands of pounds raised right here in the UK for UK-based charities. But as we look across the world of Islam today, we see extremism. We see fanaticism. Is that the Islam? Of course not. The Islam that we see today is the Islam which is practiced by the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, which our beloved Hazur has taken to every corner of this globe. In conclusion, if I may, Hazur, present the Prime Minister's message, who writes that he sends his best wishes to the Jalsa Salana. I want to send my best wishes to everyone taking part in this year's Jalsa Salana. I know how incredibly important this gathering is for Ahmadi Muslims in the United Kingdom and indeed around the world. And therefore I praise you all for coming together in such a positive way to both reject extremism and indeed to pray for peace. I would also like to take this opportunity to congratulate His Holiness and the worldwide Ahmadiyya community as you celebrate 125 years since your establishment. In that time, the community has worked tirelessly to help bring faiths and people together in the name of unity, harmony and peace. So on this special occasion, on behalf of my government, I wish to send you all a very joyous and peaceful Jalsa. The Right Honourable David Cameron, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Hazur, Jazakumullah, it's been a great opportunity for me and a humbling opportunity to address the Jalsa once again. And I ask you most humbly to pray for me in the work I'm undertaking to ensure that what the community does in terms of its work across the world continues to receive not just the attention, but also people recognize that the Ahmadiyya Muslim community stands primarily and foremost for humanity. Jazakumullah.
Nara Takbir! Islam Ahmadiyyat! Shohadae Ahmadiyyat! Asiran Rahe Mola! Nara Takbir!
Jazakallah. Hazur, our final speaker this afternoon is Right Honourable Ed Davey, Member of Parliament. Ed serves in the government in a very senior position as the Secretary of State for Energy and Climate Change. Ed is a very dear friend of the Jamaat and has attended a number of events. Last year, he hosted a very special reception for Hazur Aqdas in the Parliament on the occasion of our centenary celebrations. This special event was attended by more than 40 parliamentarians, including the Deputy Prime Minister, Honourable Nick Clegg MP, and the Home Secretary Theresa May. Ed takes a keen interest in foreign affairs and is always being televised weekly on Ghana National Television, which has been working with the Ahmadiyya Mission for 25 years. This Jalsa is also being broadcast live on Ghana TV. It's a great pleasure for me to welcome him to our Jalsa Salana and request him to come and say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum. Your Holiness, Your Excellencies, esteemed participants, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you greetings from Ghana, and especially warm felicitations from the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. The Ghana Broadcasting Corporation and the Ahmadiyya Broadcasting Company, MTA, signed a cooperation agreement a few months ago, which has been mutually beneficial to the two organizations. This relationship has very great potentials for even greater collaboration between GBC and MTA. Permit me, Your Holiness, to use this opportunity to thank sincerely the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association for offering me several insights into the beauty, love, and peacefulness of the Ahmadiyya community. I am already familiar with the overwhelming contributions of the community to social development, human progress, and peaceful coexistence in Ghana. Over the past 3 days, I have seen through manifestations of friendly love, human kindness, and service to mankind. Finally, I wish to assure Your Holiness and members of the community that the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation will continue to extend all.
Thank you. Now Hazur Aqdas will be joining us shortly, so I request you to observe silence. And whilst we're waiting, I'd request Fareed Ahmed Sahib to read some of the messages of support that we've had from various other dignitaries in the United Kingdom.
Assalamu alaikum. We've had a number of messages of support from different dignitaries in the United Kingdom, and I would like to read some of them. The first I have is a message from the Deputy Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Nick Clegg, and he says, Assalamu alaikum. As you gather this weekend for your Jalsa, I wish the international Ahmadiyya Muslim community all the very best for a successful convention. The Ahmadiyya Muslim community is built on its devotion to peace, love, and greater religious understanding. Over the last 125 years, despite suffering persecution, your commitment to those values has only grown stronger. This is a powerful example to set. In the Liberal Democrats, we are dedicated to ensuring that everyone, whatever their background or circumstances, has the right to live the life they want without fear or intimidation. Together we can build the better, more peaceful world we all want. Britain's openness and diversity are two of our greatest strengths. This is why I'm proud that the international headquarters of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community is now based here, and last year I met your respected leader, His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad. So let me end by thanking you for the work you do and for the contribution you make to Britain and across the world. That is from the Deputy Prime Minister. The next message we have is from the Right Honourable Eric Pickles MP, who's the Secretary of State for Communities and Local Government. He says, the government values the strong contribution of all faith communities in the UK, including the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. I'm sorry that I'll be unable to visit the convention, but I am pleased that Lord Ahmad will represent my department. I'm also very pleased to send the following message. I warmly congratulate the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association on their long-standing efforts to encourage peace by inviting people of all faiths to their annual National Peace Symposium, their hospitality at Ramadan with the big iftar, and their outstanding fundraising for the British Legion during the Poppy Appeal. Such efforts, such as these, help to promote an understanding of all faiths and are valuable in showing what we all have in common. I would like to send my warmest wishes to all those at the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association, and I hope that the event will be enjoyed by all attending. That's from Eric Pickles, the Secretary of State for Communities. We also have a message from the leader of the Labour Party, the Right Honourable Ed Miliband MP. And he says, this annual convention is important because it recognises the many achievements and successes of Ahmadi Muslims here in Britain. The values that the Ahmadi Muslims hold, such as commitment to peace, helping those less fortunate and looking after the vulnerable in society, are also our one nation values. This convention is an opportunity for us to praise the significant contributions that the British Ahmadiyya Muslims make to this country, from the economy to business and politics. Last year, the UK branch of the Ahmadiyya Muslims celebrated its centenary, marking a centenary of services to the community. In 1924, Ahmadi Muslims built London's first mosque, a mosque that still stands as a beacon of peace today. Several Labour MPs, including Seema Malhotra, Virendra Sharma and Siobhan McDonough, who is also chair of the Ahmadiyya Muslim All-Party Parliamentary Group, support you in the work you do. Particularly, the APPG gives British Ahmadi Muslims a voice to speak out about the persecution that they are faced with. The Labour Party understands the struggle for freedom that you face, and last year the Shadow Foreign Secretary, Douglas Alexander, met with His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad. I wish you every success for your convention, and may it be an inspiration for many years to come. That was from the leader of the Labour Party. We also have messages of support from the Right Honourable Jeremy Hunt, who is the Secretary of State for Health. He says, I congratulate you on reaching your 125th year. I have a long association with the community, and I know both that at a local constituency level and at a national level, the great work that you do and that your community achieves. The organisation has, over the years, achieved a great deal while promoting your philosophy of love for all, hatred for none, and serving the community with its good works. Your examples of humanitarian service, peaceful advocacy, and steadfastness in the face of persecution is a model to us all. I wish everyone a happy and peaceful event and look forward to a continuing relationship with you well into the future. We've also received a message from another Member of Cabinet, the Right Honourable Chris Grayling MP, who is the Lord Chancellor and Secretary of State for Justice. He says, I send my warm greetings to the Ahmadiyya community on the occasion of the annual convention in the 125th year. I have always been impressed by the role of the Ahmadiyya community in the United Kingdom and the positive work that it does in our society. I am also proud to have worked closely with a member of the community as part of my team at the Ministry of Justice. Lord Ahmad of Wimbledon is one of the most prominent members of the community in public life in the United Kingdom, and I am delighted to see him now serving as Minister at the Department for Communities and Local Government. The philosophy of commitment and philanthropy that exists among the Ahmadiyya Muslims sets an example for all of us. The convention is a real focal point for that work and an opportunity for the community to share both the spiritual and practical experiences. Its scale is truly breathtaking. I have been proud to meet His Holiness and also to represent, as constituency MP, many important members of the Ahmadiyya community. And that is from the Right Honourable Chris Grayling, Secretary of State for Justice. We also have a message of support from Baroness Emma Nicholson, who says, I am delighted to offer my warmest good wishes and all possible support to the Ahmadiyya Muslim community for the success of this immensely important event and all that it represents. Like the Ahmadiyya Muslim community itself, the Jalsa Salana is a magnificent example of how faith can inspire the most positive contributions to society, locally, nationally, and globally. Above all, the Ahmadiyya message of peace, tolerance, and hope resonates ever more strongly in a world freshly scarred by conflict. Tragically, many of those who stand behind this message are forced to show enormous courage in the course of their daily lives. I salute them for their bravery, and we must always remember their sacrifice. I wish you all the very best for the 48th Jalsa Salana and for the years to come.
Narae Takbir! Jamaat Ahmadiyya UK! Narae Takbir!
We have a further message of support from Siobhan McDonough, Member of Parliament, who is also the chair of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Parliamentary Group. And she says, on this splendid occasion, may I once again send my thoughts and best wishes to the whole of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. I am very proud of my connection with the community and praise the contribution made by so many Ahmadi Muslims in my constituency of Mitcham and Morden. I am delighted that Europe's largest mosque is in Morden, and once again in the community's efforts in Mitcham and Morden that are beyond inspirational. The charitable efforts of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, for example, are second to none. This has been a very tough year for many Ahmadi Muslims, and there is too much intolerance at home and abroad. As chair of the parliamentary all-party group for the community, I continue to call on our government to stand up against intolerance wherever it shows itself. It is also my job to continue to advise Britain's leaders of the great work being done by Ahmadis across the world to deliver peace and understanding across religious communities. Never have the words love for all, hatred for none been more needed. Love for all, hatred for none is a mantra that we should all consider at a personal level in our work and in our relationships. But it is also one that politicians and international leaders should abide by, and the world's spiritual leaders of all religions should spread the message too. I am delighted to have been given this opportunity to send a message, and I send my best wishes for your Jalsa Salana. I wish you all wisdom and peace in promoting your message of love for all. We also have a message from Lord Alton of Liverpool. He writes, I extend my congratulations to the Ahmadiyya Muslim community on celebrating its 125 years. I work closely with the Ahmadiyya Muslims and value the commitment your community shows to both your faith and the message of love for all, hatred for none. This message is important and it deserves recognition and adherence by all. It is inspiring to see His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad leading your community in its work for peace. I deeply respect the message of peace that His Holiness advocates. It is much both needed in the Muslim world and beyond. Such commitment to peace is evidenced by the community's peaceful actions and peaceful reactions to persecution. In this regard, I would like to take this opportunity to express my deep horror at the recent events that occurred in Gujranwala in Pakistan, where an Ahmadi lady and her 2 granddaughters were murdered. And that is from Professor Lord Alton of Liverpool. Hazur is now making his way towards the marquee, so please kindly wait for his arrival. Assalamu alaikum.
Nara